Before we get started, I just want to alert everyone to an important video that you've just recorded that will not be available to the public. Here, you discuss the upcoming geopolitical shockwave of what you call the most significant development in international finance since 1971. But then you explain how anyone can position themselves to profit from this crisis. Our viewers can access that video at londonreal.tv/Jim, and I highly recommend that everyone go watch that immediately after our conversation so that it would actually slow down his campaign because he'll have to show up in court. But is there anything else that stops him from getting to that November election date? And then if he becomes president, does that solve everything, or that does not absolve him from these charges?
Great question. Okay. It could. Now, has a president ever pardoned himself? The answer is no. But constitutional scholars will debate whether it's even possible. I'm a lawyer. I think it is possible. I don't see why, if the president can pardon everybody in the country of any crime whatsoever, why couldn't he pardon himself? So he might do that. In fact, if he actually gets convicted of any of these things, by the way, there's nothing about running for president that says you can't run for president if you're a defendant in a criminal trial. That's not a disqualifier. You just have to be 35 years old, U.S. citizen, or you're born in the United States. So there's nothing about all these criminal charges put together, including convictions, that keeps him from becoming president. He might need a prison pass to get sworn in, but we'll see. But then as soon as he takes his hand off the Bible, he says, "I hereby pardon myself." He could do that, and I think that would stick. So that would wipe the slate clean. And Brian, we've been talking about some stuff that sounds crazy, but it's not. All these things are well within the realm of possibility. I get people say, "Oh, that'll never happen," but time and time again, it does happen. RFK, I think, will win New Hampshire. Joe Manchin, I think, will run as a third party. Will Trump be convicted? I would say on the merits, he shouldn't be. But now you're into jury selection. That's a whole other science. But he might be. But that won't stop him from running. Would it even, far from deterring people, would it even generate some sympathy? Like, I'm kind of lukewarm on Trump, but man, I've never seen a guy who was more singled out and persecuted since Joseph Stalin. We used to take people down the basement and shoot them. So maybe I'll vote for the guy just because he deserves it. Something, I don't know. It's I know all the factors. It's hard to predict all the outcomes, but you can sort of set up a fan of probabilities, but they all look implausible. But one or more of them will play out. And the other one, not that you ever wish for this, but Biden could just die. I mean, he's an 80-year-old with the physique and condition of a 90-year-old. I know 80-year-old guys who are like 60. They're fit and sharp and nothing. Age is not a determinant. It's a factor, but it's not a determinant. So I know some pretty sharp 80-year-olds, but I also know Biden's an 80-year-old is more like a 90-year-old. He's had 2 aneurysms, and they did the surgery back at a time when you didn't have the microsurgeries and the techniques we have today. And a doctor 20 years ago would have said this guy's going to not age well for that reason. So we also saw the stumble at the Air Force Academy. I've said to people for a long time, I said, because Biden doesn't appear in public much, he can't really because he can't talk. But I said, if you see Biden on TV, hit the mute button. They call it MOS in Hollywood, without sound from the German directors, but watch it without sound. It's scarier than actually listening to the words because you see the frailty. That's what comes through. Right. Well, what struck me about the fall, that was sad. He couldn't get up. Maybe it takes a fall every now and then, maybe, but he couldn't get up, and they had to physically lift him up. Go back to Hillary Clinton doing the faceplant at the 9/11 memorial. They had to drag her into the SUV. This stuff, you can slough it off or spin it, but people notice, and the impression they get from video is, television, etc., is much more powerful than all the words you wrap around it.
What happened if Biden dies? Like, what would happen?
That's almost the worst scenario I can think of because Kamala Harris becomes president. Now, her problem, she's not feeble-minded or physically impaired. but she's stupid. I mean, she's like a dumb person. That's okay. Like I say, I'm all for, you don't have to have a 140 IQ. You don't have to have a 100 IQ. There are plenty of people with 90 IQs who are like great Americans, hardworking, great family people. Let's celebrate all of that. We all have different strengths and weaknesses. I'm not saying your character comes down to an IQ test. Quite the opposite. I mean, there's some of the best people you ever meet are just good everyday Americans, but she's not that bright, and so and she'll be the president. It's hard to know which is worse, feeble-minded or not that bright, because they always come under the thumb of whoever's around them, and that's why you say, why are any Democrats supporting Biden? Well, the answer is he's been surrounded by a progressive radical orb, and they get everything they want. There's nothing Biden won't sign, so all they have to do is get it on his desk. He'll sign it. Biden I used to hang around the Senate. It was close to some senators and have lunch in the Capitol, the Senate dining room, which is in the Capitol. And, interesting looking back on those days, the only guy who would silence the room and turn heads, because, it's like, there's Kennedy, there's Christina, there's shit, whatever, was John Glenn. John Glenn walked in the room. Everyone just kind of like nodded, shut up and nodded his direction. He commanded genuine respect. But those days are gone. But even in the days I'm talking about, Biden was always considered like the least, like the dumbest guy in the Senate, like just not that bright. But now he's not that bright and feeble-minded. Kamala, not that smart. She's probably chosen for that reason, because she wouldn't threaten Biden, because there's not a good comparison there. But that's a pretty scary prospect.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, it's Brian Rose, founder of the DeFi Academy. I've told you my 4-week crypto bootcamp is amazing, but don't take my word for it. This is what my students are saying.
The DeFi Academy was an amazing experience for me. It took me totally out of my comfort zone.
In this course, I was challenged, I was held accountable, and pushed to do things that honestly weren't always easy.
It's been phenomenal, and I can't believe we're already up on our 4 weeks. It has flown by.
Going through this DeFi accelerator by far was one of the best courses I've taken.
You do this course, you really get into the nitty-gritty of the activities that will make you comfortable with decentralized finance.
Thank you so much to Brian and everyone at London Real and the DeFi Academy for even putting together an amazing course like this.
Anybody else that wants to do it, please sign up. It is well worth the money.